We are going to review the problems that our class found to be the most difficult from our last night's extra practice homework. We're going to begin with problem 3B, which is on page 110. I suggest that you take a look in your extra practice book and follow along so that you can see where you maybe made an error so that you can see how we can maybe correct that for the next time we solve a problem like this. So let's begin by solving 3B. I'm going to begin by first asking myself what type of shape it is, which it is a triangle, and writing down the formula that I know I'll be using, which will be base times height divided by 2. Now that I've done that, I have to identify the right angle. Remember, our right angle is the key to solving any triangle area problems because our base and our height always come together at a right angle. So I can see that my right angle is right there shaded in blue, and I can see that this line and this line meet at that right angle. So that means that one of these numbers is my base and one is my height. So I'm going to need to multiply them together. 7 times 5 equals 35. And then I have to do 35 divided by 2, which equals 17.5, or 17 and a half. And it is 17 and a half centimeters squared. Okay, let's move on to problem 4B. Now, if I take a look at this figure and know that I want to find the shaded area, remember? So if I'm looking at this and I look just at the shaded area is a shape like that I just drew in red. Do we know a formula to solve the area for a shape like that? No, we don't. So if we don't, if it's not a rectangle, a triangle, or a parallelogram, we know that we're going to need to maybe find the whole area and take some parts away, which is the case in this situation. So I'm going to need to find the entire rectangle. Do you see an entire rectangle here? If you trace the perimeter of this shape, you will have a full rectangle. So that full rectangle we're going to need to find first. And we know that to find the area of a rectangle, we do length times width. I then also see that I have a triangle here and a triangle here. So to find the area of a triangle, I know that I'm going to be using the formula base times height divided by 2. So now I have my formulas down. Now I have to find the length, the width, the base, and the height in order to solve. So let's begin by finding the area of our rectangle. The length of our rectangle is going to be 5, and the width is going to be 4. They just label it right there for us. They label the two sides. So our rectangle is going to be 5 times 4 centimeters, which is 20 centimeters squared. Now I have to find my triangles. I'm told that this whole side, this length of this whole side is 5 centimeters. I'm also told that this little piece right here is 1 centimeter. This information alone is enough for me to figure out what this base is here and this base here. These two are going to be the same because 1 is right there in the middle. So we're going to subtract 1 from our whole, which is 5. So we're doing 5, which is the total length, minus 1, which is the only piece we were given right here, which equals 4. So to find out what just one of those bases are, we're going to need to do 4 divided by 2, which equals 2. So that means that this here is 2 centimeters and this base here is 2 centimeters. Now I've got that labeled and I'm ready to move on. The next thing that I know about rectangles is that each corner makes a right angle. So I can go ahead and draw those in. And that's the key to finding the area of a triangle. If this here is a right angle, and this here is a right angle, I'm looking for the two lines that connect them to find my area, which means that I'm looking at this line, which is 4 centimeters, and this line, which is 2 centimeters. So 4 times 2 equals 8, and then I have to divide by 2, which equals 4. So this is 4 centimeters squared. base and my height of the other triangle are the same, 2 centimeters. And we know that if this side, the left side is 4 centimeters, the right side of the rectangle has to be the same. So that's 4 centimeters. So that means that the area of that rectangle is also 4 centimeters squared. So now I've found that the total area of my triangles is 8 centimeters squared. That's 4 plus 4, because each triangle is 4 centimeters squared. And my entire rectangle, which includes the shaded and unshaded parts, is 20 centimeters squared. So my last step is going to subtract 8 from 20. 20 minus 8 equals 12 centimeters squared. When we subtract the 8, or the triangles, or the white space, we're left with just the shaded area. So the area is 12 centimeters squared. So in 4D, we actually have 2 different shapes. You can see here that this is a square, which means we're going to use length times width, and a triangle, which means we're going to use base times height divided by 2. We know in particular that this is a square, not a rectangle, because these 2 sides are the same, 2 centimeters, which means that this is also going to be 2 centimeters, and so is that one. So to find the area of my square, I'm going to do 2 times 2, which equals 4 centimeters squared. So the area is 4 centimeters squared. Now I have to find the area of that triangle there. I can see that my right angle is right here. If that's my right angle, for the square, that means that the other side is also a right angle. So now that I have my right angle, I can see that I have 2 lines, one solid line and one dotted line, that come together at that right angle. So I know that one is my base and one is my height. So I'm going to do 3 times 2, which equals 6, and then 6 divided by 2, which equals 3. So this is 3 centimeters squared. My last step is going to be to add 4, the area of the square, and 3, the area of the triangle, together, and I'll get 7 centimeters squared. Okay, let's take a look at this last problem, problem 4E. When I look at this, I see a triangle, a large triangle, and I see a smaller triangle that I'm shading in green inside of it. So in order to find the area here, I'm going to want to find the large triangle first, and then I'm going to find the small triangle, and I'm going to want to take the small triangle away so that I'm left with just the shaded figure. So that means that I'm just trying to find the area of triangles here. So I'm going to be using the formula base times height divided by 2. Well, if I look at this figure here, I know that this is my right angle, so this is the first thing I'm going to want to pay super close attention to. If that is a right angle there, then that means that that's going to help me find my base and my height of both triangles, actually. So for the large triangle, let's write down large triangle. I'm going to use 8 as my base, and my height is 8. Because I'm adding together 5 and 3, which is 8 centimeters. So I'm going to do 8 times 8. And I know that 8 centimeters is going to be my height because I found a spot where there's a right angle, and I also have a straight line over here on the side that shows me 5 and 3, which together make 8. And if this line makes 8, then that means that if I drew a line from the top of my triangle down to the bottom, it would have to be the same. It would also be 8. So we're going to do 8 times 8, which equals 64. And then 64 divided by 2 equals 32. So the area of the large triangle is 32 centimeters squared. Now we want to find the small triangle. The small triangle, the base is again going to be 8. See how it is the same there? Except the height this time is just going to be 3 centimeters. And we know it's 3 centimeters because we're told over here. And if this line is 3 centimeters and it's a straight line up and down, then a line parallel to it of the same length must also be 3 centimeters. So now we're going to do 8 times 3, which equals 24, and then 24 divided by 2, which equals 12. Now remember, I said we were going to have to take the area of the small triangle and subtract it from the large triangle to be left with just the shaded part. So we're going to do 32, which is the large triangle, minus 12, which is the small triangle, and we're going to get 20 centimeters squared. All right, look over. If you missed any of these problems, do me a favor and look them over in your extra practice book. Try to find where the error was made. That way we can learn from it, and when you try it tomorrow on the test or in the future when we go over it, you'll then be able to make sure that you don't make that error.